I'm Bruce Donaldson. I'm from the Smart Biz Project. Now today's special webinar training event is about exponentially growing your business. Now we're talking real exponential growth and not the lame 10% your accountants think you should aim for. So there are just 5 steps in the sales and marketing process to focus on to go exponential. Step we're going to go through today. The Exponentially Grow Your Profits, the 5-step formula webinar, is whole and complete in itself. However, it is part of a series of strategic marketing training events we hold for small business owners. I mention this because if you find you have gaps in your understanding as we go along, never mind, there's Q&A at the end, plenty of time for you to ask any questions you like. You also hear us refer to our strategic marketing e-learning platform. This is the driver behind the fundamentals of all our training webinars. Now, our presenter today is Jen Barnes, who has a wealth of knowledge and first-hand experience in small business. Jen comes at this in a very personal way. She has lived and breathed it, having applied this very system and training to her manufacturing business nearly 3 years ago, and she hasn't looked back. So over the past 30 years, Jen has built, bought, sold, franchised, partners and mentored businesses. Okay, so let's get going. How would you like a simple, proven and tested way you can explode your profits in record time and with little effort or expense on your part? In fact, what if we could give you a formula that create exponential growth for your business starting today, starting now? Okay, I'll hand over to Jen to get this going.
Okay, I am many things, but I am not a technical genius. I just want to check that I'm being heard. Can some of you sort of put your hand up and say it's okay? Are we all good? Oh, thanks, Angela. Great. Fabulous. Okay. Thanks, Roz. Sorry. Excellent. Okay. With the confidence of technology under my wings, let's get going. So, where are we? All right. If you ask any small business owner on the planet what they need most in their business, you're going to get the same 2 answers every single time. They're going to say more clients and more revenue. But here's the problem. That isn't what most business owners want. Oh, sure. We all want more clients. But what does it take to produce a client? First, you've got to generate leads, and then you've got to convert those leads into clients. By breaking down the end result of wanting a client into its vital components required to get them, namely leads and sales conversion, you can now start to put together a strategy and plan of action to attain that end result. And that's what you're seeing here today. As for revenue, what does it take to produce more of it? First, once you generate leads and convert those leads into clients, those clients will be paying you a specific value for what you sell. So, sale value is another vital component in the revenue equation. But it doesn't stop there. You have expenses to pay, and those expenses come directly out of that revenue that you just generated. So the next revenue component to consider is your margin. How much of that revenue do you actually get to put in your pocket at the end of the day? But we're still not done. If your client only buys from you one time, you're right back to where you started. Now you need to generate a new batch of leads and convert them into clients and go round the merry-go-round again. What if instead you could compel your clients to increase the number of transactions they complete with you year after year, or prolong their lifetime value? Now you have something to build upon. Here's the bottom line. There are 5 vital steps that every small business owner must address in order to attract new clients and generate more revenue. Leads, conversions, average sale value, number of transactions, and profit margins. So let's back up those steps with some specific numbers to illustrate exactly how all of this works. Right. In order for you to explode your profits and create exponential growth, you have to start with a baseline. That means you've got to know what your current numbers are in each of those critical areas. So first, you need to work out exactly where your numbers are now. Once you have them, you can work out what you need to do to explode those profits and make sure you spend your time doing just that. Okay, so what's your baseline? Let's start with leads. Let's say your current baseline of leads is 1,000 a year. I'm working with nice round numbers. Your current conversion rate is 25%, meaning for every 4 leads that you get in front of, you're converting one of them into a sale. That means you've got 250 of those 1,000 leads turning into clients in any given year. Let's assume your number of annual transactions equals 10. Okay? So each of your 250 clients buys what you sell 10 times a year. Let's further assume that your sale value is $100. So your 250 clients are buying a $100 product from you 10 times a year. Your revenue is $250,000. However, you have to now subtract all of your expenses, rent, salaries, marketing, cost of goods, and so on. In this example, let's assume your profit margin, your end of the day net profit margin, is 25%. This is going to leave you with just over $60,000 in net profit. The trick now is to find a way to increase each of those 5 critical metrics in your business. There are a bunch of ways you can go about this. Something we've been distilling down into our e-learning system, which Bruce mentioned earlier, which houses a multitude of proven ways to do this. Ready-to-go systems that increase leads, conversions, your number of transactions, your average sale value, and your overall profit margin. Okay, the number one issue for all businesses is lead generation. Most businesses focus almost entirely on this step alone. They're doing Facebook, they're search engine optimizing, radio advertising, networking, you name it. Rapid fire tactics galore. But what if I told you that all you need to do is implement one lead generation strategy? Look, we know there are countless strategies out there claiming to do this or that. We've been road testing them now for close to 20 years, and we've narrowed it down to 20 that actually work reliably every single time. They're field tested, been round the block. Better yet, each one is presented in a step-to-step way from implementation through to execution. All that's required is to follow the steps and apply the information. Now look, we've got a whole webinar that's dedicated to the topic of converting leads, because everyone's marketing today is so jammed packed full of platitudes and jargon. It's mostly talking about the businesses themselves and not paying any attention to their clients whatsoever. But let me tell you here and now, there are only 2 things that prospects care about: the problem that they have and they don't want, and the solution that they want and they don't have. Every successful marketing strategy that we've ever implemented, at least, uses the conversion equation. This is what our separate webinar is all about. It looks like this: interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. You need to include all 4 of those components to get the maximum results from your marketing activity and your advertising spend. Interrupting your ideal client with an engaging headline that hits them directly in their emotional hot buttons. Now, this is the problem that they have and they don't want. You then engage them with a sub-headline. This promises the solution that they want and that they don't have. Then you educate them regarding your product or service. And finally, provide an irresistible offer, something that they're going to happily give their contact details to you for. This is where the drip campaign comes in, but I'm going to address that sometime later. Okay, getting the headline right, the single most important part of the conversion equation. Here's an example of it in action. This is an interrupting headline. It's also got an engaging subheadline, an educational video, and finally an irresistible offer. Getting that child under control in 60 seconds. That is the conversion equation in action. Okay. These strategies are just a drop in the bucket when it comes to helping you generate all the leads your business can handle. But whichever one or more of these strategies you end up using for your business, we know from repeated experience that every single one of ours lift lead generation by at least 10%. And I tell you what, that's if it's a monumental failure. I'm talking hopeless. So let's play with our previous examples with a miserable lift of 10%. Okay. So instead of generating 1,000 leads a year, which was our original number, we can now conservatively say that you would easily generate 1,100 leads a year. That's a measly 8 additional leads per month. Remember, that's leads, not clients. That works out to something like, 1 additional lead every 4 days or something like that. Now let's tackle the next critical step, and that's your conversion rate. Your conversion rate is where a prospect becomes a client. They agree to buy what you sell. This simply means that you've found a way to compel their decision-making process so that they choose you over your competition. Again, there are all sorts of ways to go about this. Our arsenal of strategies not only attract quality, perfect leads in volume and next to no tire kickers, which is even more important, but they easily convert from leads into sales more often than not. Then there are pricing strategies. We use strategies powerful enough to completely remove pricing from the prospect's decision-making process. Can you imagine that? Never competing on price again? Suppose you implemented a strategy that added so much value to what you sell that you could charge double the price of your competition and your prospects still wouldn't think twice about paying you that amount. After you generate a lead, I mentioned it before, a drip campaign is a great conversion strategy to implement. This is a series of follow-up communications. Look, it's usually done by email or direct mail, something along those lines that continually nurtures your prospects until they're finally ready to make a purchase from you. Did you know that typically prospects don't buy until they've received about 6 marketing communications from you? Are you currently sending out 6 follow-up messages to all of your prospects? If not, you're leaving a fortune on the table. Okay. With a conversion strategy like that in place, like a drip campaign strategy, it should be a doddle to increase your conversion rate from our original 25% to more like 50%. But, we've seen way higher than that. But let's keep our numbers ultra conservative here. Conservatively, you would have no problem whatsoever lifting that by 10%. So now we're converting 27.5% of our 1,100 leads. That's now a total of 302 clients. All right. Now let's increase our number of transactions and implement a strategy that will compel our clients to buy from us more often. All right. Most businesses completely overlook strategies that produce multiple or many more transactions. And as a result, they miss out on insanely easy and fast profits. Does the phrase, "Do you want fries with that," ring a bell? This is known as an upsell, cross-sell strategy. And every business should have one of these in their sales arsenal. Might change that word in future. The philosophy behind upselling and cross-selling is simple. Your present customers trust you enough to enter into a buying relationship with you. You already have gained their trust, and now you have the opportunity of presenting them with another level of products or services that you've created that are in their best interests. Upselling means offering a higher grade or a higher quality or bigger size of the item that the customer is already interested in at the point that they're interested to buy. Cross-selling means offering other products or services which complement the item that the customer is interested in at the point that they're ready to buy. Good upselling and cross-selling is the best. Good upselling and cross-selling is always in the best interest of your customers. It makes sense and it's natural. Everyone walks away a winner. Cross-selling and upselling can be implemented quickly and cost nothing. So looking back to our original numbers and remaining ultra conservative, could we assume it would be fairly simple to use a strategy like that, just one of them, to easily increase our original 10 transactions to just 11? I'd say that's a doddle. Anyway, now let's consider your average sale value. This is the price you charge for what you sell. What if you implemented a strategy that allowed you to instantly increase your sales price with no effect whatsoever to your conversion rate? Did you know that price is one of the least understood components when it comes to small business ownership? Let me explain. Suppose you sell a product for $100 and the net profit on that is 15%. That means after you pay the rent, salaries, commissions, cost of acquiring the product, blah, 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 everything that goes into your business, you only put $15 of that $100 into your bank account. So what would happen if you increased that price by a measly 5%? Do you realize that additional 5% is pure profit? Typically, there are no additional expenses that need to be factored in at that point. In fact, your net profit just increased from $15 to $20. That means your profit on this one product just increased by 33.33%. Here's a real-life example. It's a health club. They offer a package of services for $60 a month and presently have 300 clients enrolled in that program. That means they have total revenue of $18,000 a month. They operate on a 25% net profit margin, so the net profit is $4,500 a month. Suppose they raise the price just $4 a month, or 6.67%. You just increased your net profit by 26.67%, or $1,200 a month. Look, for some people, that's a mortgage payment, or at least it's leasing a flash set of wheels. But if you're worried about that raising your price, even $4, may lead to some clients cancelling their memberships in your program, then listen to this. That health club example, they would have to lose 63 clients from that program just to get back to their original net profits. In other words, they could lose 63 members and it would have absolutely zero impact on the original profits. Do you really think 63 out of 300 would drop off that program because of a $4 a month increase? Especially if you offer more value than any of your competitors. Using the latest pricing strategies and positioning tactics will allow you to raise your pricing substantially, way more than $4, without affecting your conversion or retention rates. Okay, let's look back at our original numbers. With a strategy like that in place, could you conservatively increase your original $100 to $110? So now our total income is $365,000. Now finally, we've got to look at margin. Everything we've just discussed is basically worthless if you're not making a profit on every single sale you make. Look, we have a number of strategies that dramatically increase profit margins by leaps and bounds. One of them is a simple strategy that slashes costs without affecting your day-to-day business operations, like accounting, bookkeeping, printing, advertising, office supplies, all that stuff can be dramatically reduced and sometimes eliminated entirely using a really simple barter strategy. Do you also realize that you can see a huge increase in your profit margins just by properly identifying and targeting your perfect clients? This ties into that old 80-20 rule that states 20% of your clients generate 80% of your profit. So if you could replace the 80% of your lower margin clients with, say, more of your 20% clients, you'll see your margins literally explode. And yeah, we've seen this happen. The biggest we've seen so far has been somewhere in the 16 times region. Right, keeping our numbers ultra conservative. Let's say your profit margins go up a lousy 10% from 25 to 27.5. Now we go from our original net profit figure of 62.5 to just over 100. So now we've got $100,000 in profit. Notice that even a 10% increase across the 5 steps is exponential. I know when I first looked at this, without digging deep, I would have thought that a 10% lift of 62 is just under 70. That's certainly what, I've been taught. And hey, this isn't the kind of bottom line growth it's not too bad, but it ain't killer exponential. Now, is it? What if I could show you how you could easily increase these percentages, and instead of increasing them by a meager 10%, as we did with our examples, what if we could turn up the volume and increase them by 50%? Look, in reality, we've seen much higher than that in some of those steps and regularly. But for the purpose of this exercise, let's just hang with 50%. What if we saw what we just saw was one strategy per step, not particularly well implemented and not for terribly long, not fine-tuned, nothing like that. So imagine this. What if you added another strategy or two into each of those 5 steps? Really tweaked them, got them purring along efficiently. Think about having 2 or 3 strategies implemented that increased your leads. Another 2 or 3 perfectly oiled machines that are increasing your conversions. Another 2 or 3 that are implemented and increasing your average sale dramatically. Another 2 or 3 increasing transactions. And lastly, of course, another 2 or 3 increasing your profit margins. What would that look like? I'll tell you what that looks like. It's exponential. When you consider that just one of our upsell, cross-sell strategies alone produce immediate revenue increases in excess of 30% in the month that it's implemented, it looks exponential. After everything we've seen so far, do you think a strategic implementation program like this could achieve, let's say, a 1% overall increase per week? A meager, tiny 1% increase with a 2 weeks off, 2 weeks off for holidays each year is a 50% increase across the year. So let's look at what happens to our numbers now. Well, starting from our baseline of 1,000 clients, we now have 1,500 clients. Instead of 25% conversion rate, we now have 37.5%. That means we've got 562 clients. These clients are now buying from us 15 times a year instead of 10. Our average sales gone from 100 to 150, and they're loving it. We put these numbers together. Drum roll, please. Exponential, 1.2 mil. And that brings us to our profit margin, which is now up at 37.5. Look at our profit. We're just under $500,000 in profit. So starting with 62, a 50% increase over those 5 basic areas has delivered nearly $500,000 to our bottom line profit. And I think that's a little better. That looks exponential to me. I hope you agree. If you've got a blueprint, a program like this can be implemented from woe to go within 12 months. The strategic marketing e-learning platform is one of these blueprints. We mentioned it earlier. It's step-by-step, it's systematic, it's an implementation program. No matter where you are now, the choice is yours. Do you want to go have an exponential lift across your business of 10%, 50%, or beyond? Whatever you decide, I'm here to tell you point blank that you can. It is entirely doable. You can start it today if you like. So I'll throw it out there. Is this the sort of direction that you want to steer your business in? I'll let you sit with that because we're now up to the Q&A part of the day. So let me get to these screens. Let me see. Okay, so there's two ways to ask questions. You can pop your hand up in the little icon part where your name is, or you can use the chat box section, about two things below that. So, okay, while you're thinking about any questions you want to ask, let me tell you about what we're doing here at the Smart Biz. We're writing a book, and this is all about specifically finding any business on the planet an absolute minimum of $10,000 currently trapped inside their marketing using this 5-step profit formula. And we're doing that in under 10 minutes. So it's all quite rapid fire and rather exciting. Basically what we do is we apply what you've seen here today to one or two aspects of any business, and bingo, typically there's way more than $10,000 just sitting there. We've got a lovely offer for you today here to have a free consult if you want. You get to find 10Ks in under 10 minutes, and we get to use the data for our book. That doesn't have to be, we don't have to use your name or anything like that. We just need hundreds of case studies. So, good one. Got a couple of questions. Hurrah. Otherwise it gets a little bit embarrassing. Okay, Rhonda. Will it work on all businesses? You're a franchise in-home care business. Yep, and Johnny's asked, where are we? Hold on a second. Oh, Johnny's asked a similar question. He's got a trade-based business. Right. Okay. In-home nursing, plumbers, you name it. There is not a business on the planet that this does not apply to. It is it's business fundamentals. It's not specific to a certain sort of business. So I can categorically say that that it will work on your business. Jot down my email address there. If you want to ask me specifically about yours, just drop me a line and I can run through it with you. Okay, I've got 3 questions coming in the same. Stephanie, Rob, and Darren. What does it cost? Okay, it costs. The e-learning system is like a membership thing. It takes you about 12 months to run through it. It is $97 a month, and there is a special if you buy the whole year for $9.97. So it's basically a couple of months off. And it looks like I've got a few of you as well who came into the webinar a little late. What happens at the end of each webinar, we send the recording out to everybody, or at least a link to the recording, if you want to review any of the content and get in touch with us. Let me see. No, anybody else? All right. No, that's done. Okay. I think that about does it. Okay, Bruce, it's over to you. Thanks, everyone.
Muted.
Okay, wonderful stuff, Jen. Excellent information. No, good questions as well, guys. Okay, just please don't forget to take us up on our offer, 10K in 10 minutes for your business. As Jen mentioned, there's Jen's email up on the screen. Feel free to send her an email and she'll send you a link to book in a time that's convenient for you. Also, as mentioned, we're quite happy to send you an email that'll have Jen's time trade link. So if you invest some of your time with us, 10 to 20 minutes, we promise to find you at least 10 minutes that's trapped inside your existing marketing. We're going to show you how to get it, and we're going to show you how to put it in your pocket. And we'll do that in 10 minutes or under. Okay, and all we asked is that we can put that information in our up-and-coming book. Now, we don't mind if it's named or anonymous. We're quite happy to whack your business in our book. So jot down Jen's email, and we'd love to hear from you. That's about it, unless Jen has anything else to add. All right, Jen's muted herself, so she tells me she's got nothing else to add. So thank you for your attendance, people. Keep an eye on your email. We've got 2 other wonderful webinars that fit in well with this sequence, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.